to get right into the heart of the matter. So a lot of people are on this call. We have founders, we have entrepreneurs in the clean tech industry who are enthusiastic about learning about carbon credits. What is this carbon credit? What is it about? So I'll just direct this first question to Deborah. What exactly is carbon credits? A lot of people, have heard the term, but they don't exactly know what's the context. So Deborah, over to you. What exactly is carbon credits?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning, once again. Thank you for the opportunity to share. So I'll start with the question: what is carbon credits really? Carbon credits. I see carbon credit as a sort of tool to create not just economic opportunities, but also help to fast track sustainable development, right? And typically what the credits are is the conversion of carbon savings. So saving from carbon footprints that would typically emanate from fossil fuels to, converting this carbon savings into verifiable means that can essentially be used to create some sort of token that can generate funding. So typically that's essentially what carbon credits means.
All right, thank you very much, Deborah, for that brief and concise explanation of what carbon credit is. Does any of our panelists want to add to what she has said, or we can move on to the next question? Anyone? Mr. John looks like he wants to say something.
Actually, I'm good. I think she did justice to the question. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So now that we've established what carbon credit is, so what are carbon markets and why is it important to the African continent? I'll direct this question to Rotimi.
Yeah. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right. Perfect. So I think this more or less just builds on what Deborah just answered. So I'll just pick it up from there. And I'll maybe use an example. So for example, I know there's a global voluntary carbon market initiative through the last series of COP meetings, the one 27 and also 26. A lot of initiatives have kind of come up around this. And I think people even call it carbon finance today, actually. And it's setting the whole carbon industry, low carbon industry ablaze. So I think the simplest way to put it, just building on what Deborah said, is it's a market in which people volunteer to come into that market, just like any trading market in the world. And what is being traded is the ability for someone, a company, an industrial company, whatever have you, a retailer, whatever the case may be, that has very carbon intensive operations. So by carbon intensive, we mean, the emissions, the CO2 specifically, CO2 emissions that are coming out of the trucks that you drive every day. If you're running a mining operation, maybe you're using diesel generators in a very remote place and you're doing this intensely, you've been doing this for hundreds of years. You've accumulated a certain bank of emissions. And we know that one of the fastest ways to support our goal of averting disaster with regards to this climate crisis is to, number one, eliminate, if possible, our emissions, but that is not possible in the short term, right? And so what people do is they try to reduce it or offset it. And reduction can come in the form of investing in projects that are already reducing carbon emissions, or projects that can essentially offset. So if I'm producing 1 ton of CO2 emissions, I can buy a carbon credit from someone who is more cost efficient than I am and faster than I am at actually reducing that. So that might look like a company in the US, say Microsoft, who has volunteered and voluntarily submitted to a carbon market, whether it's in the EU, a global standard, or using a platform like Vera, essentially going into that market, seeing the market price for carbon credits of different types, and they come from different projects. Some people even pool projects together to form super projects that have diversified carbon offsets in them. And then they will buy the carbon credit. And by doing so, it's now recorded on their books from a carbon accounting perspective that they've actually, reduced, or as in the right case, have offset tons of CO2 emissions. And so it's essentially a way of incentivizing those that are, the most cost efficient at reducing emissions to achieve a balance. So hopefully we're not increasing emissions drastically, and at best, hopefully we're, through this scheme, reducing emissions very fast. But it is a voluntary market, and companies are not forced to participate in that. So I think that then ties back to what the ethos is of the entities that are compliant, and thousands are across the world.
Thank you very much, Rotimi. That was quite deep, incentivizing those who are reducing the emission of carbon into the environment. I mean, that's really important. Okay, so we all know that Africa accounts for the lowest greenhouse emission in the world. But the continent is the one that is seemingly worst hit by the impact of climate crisis. We've seen that in flooding that has become prevalent in our environment, and even the heat waves and series of the climate distortions, having early rains and all that. Now, the new Carbon Market Initiative, the ACMI, which was inaugurated at the 27th Conference of Parties, it aims to support the growth of carbon credit production and create jobs in Africa. How can Africa utilize carbon markets for climate finance? And I direct this question to Monica.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Just to confirm that I'm okay, so that means I'm audible.
Yes.
First, let me thank you, Venture Park, for organizing this webinar. It's a very interesting topic. I was very surprised to get the information that you wanted to talk about something like this, because it's very topical, but also very niche in terms of area of expertise. So I think the other speakers, Deborah, Rotimi, they've done a very good job really laying the framework, the foundation of the meaning of carbon credits and how the market works. So specifically, the carbon market, it was, came to be as a result of the Kyoto Protocol. Just to give an introduction, this dating back in 2005, became operational in 2008. And the Kyoto Protocol brought about the Clean Development Mechanism, which created the framework whereby developed countries can come to developing countries, like countries in Africa, to buy carbon credits to supplement their own allowance, emission allowance in their countries. So we know by 2012, the carbon market crashed. So what this means is that the price of carbon under the CDM fell to like €0. This now brought into being existence the voluntary carbon market. So what this means is that individuals or organizations decide to buy carbon credits from Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Africa, whatever country. So it's a voluntary market. What this means is that it depends on the organization, the individual, their desire to contribute to climate goals and maybe their corporate social responsibility. And what that also means is that there's, in terms of negotiation, okay, in terms of negotiation between the buyer of the carbon credit and who is providing it, is not really, how do I put it? Is not a very strong platform to negotiate. So if Africa now wants to really formalize the carbon market and benefit from it, well, I'll say the first step would be to lay down some rules. So this is giving clarity as to what the trading rules are, what the procedures are. The ACMI that you mentioned, they do a good work, by simplifying and providing some kind of information for countries to at least start setting up their rules. Nigeria has the Climate Change Act, which also helps in formulating rules for different parties to know, okay, we are coming up with a carbon budget, we're coming up with a tax, we're coming up with different councils that will have rules and responsibilities. So the first step will be to lay down the rules, procedures, so that the players in the market can understand what they are doing. Transparency, streamlining the process also helps people to know, okay, I want to be a participant, I can come in, I can exit the market, and these are the conditions. So I think the first part to really benefit from this is clarity, and that comes from setting up the market rules. The second part will be to establish the market. As we know, in the carbon market space, there's been issues of integrity, relating to the carbon markets that are being generated. I don't know if some of us here might be following news on, for example, Bloomberg announced that one of the key agents of carbon credits in Africa, which is South Pole, is facing some kind of issues relating to the integrity of the carbon credits they've been selling to individuals in the voluntary market. So establishing the market really starts from making sure that integrity issues are well taken care of. And there's also the issues about additionality. In climate finance, additionality means that without that climate finance coming in, the project would not exist. So there are also issues relating to additionality. For example, you have forests and you're generating carbon credits from those forests. There's arguments relating to these forests, will they not remain forests? Will they not remain standing without this carbon credits and climate finance being channeled in? So by taking care of issues relating to integrity, making sure that additionality consigns are well taken care of, then you can have more people wanting to participate in the market. So that's two, establishing the market. The third point I would say is growing the market. What this means is growing in sophistication. As you know, in carbon market, there needs to be a lot of data. Data helps you in benchmarking. So benchmarking is where you identify the different sectors that you want to regulate in the carbon market, and to say that at least this is what these sectors, these industries, this is the benchmark they need to enable them to conduct their productive activities. Then you provide allowances for them to emit. And those allowances are based on best available technologies and other practices. So having that data helps you with benchmarking. Then maybe over a 5-year cycle, you can tighten the benchmark. So you keep on tightening the benchmark due to technological improvements and other conditions. So my 3 points, I will reiterate, is 1, setting up the market, rules and regulations. 2, establishing the market, making sure that issues of integrity and additionality are well taken care of. 3, growing in sophistication, which means that you are using data to inform how you regulate your industry or the sectors you want to regulate in the carbon market. Thank you.